What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Lockdown Coverage. If you guys are new to the channel, my name's Daniel. On today's episode, I will be discussing your Miami Dolphins offseason plan, their outlook, more or less who we're going to look at the NFL draft, what free agency targets we could really look at to improve this overall roster, and what is going on with Tua Tagovailoa and obviously the Deshaun Watson rumors. I'm going to get to all of that, not in great detail, but I will be doing that throughout the offseason. First thing I did want to mention was that if you guys like the channel, please make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to Lockdown Coverage. I will be continuing to cover the Miami Dolphins throughout the offseason, and I probably will also be doing Miami Heat. So if you're a Miami Heat fan / Miami Heat lifer, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But first things first, before I get into any of this, I wanted to mention that, but isn't it funny that last year Ryan Tannehill was in the AFC Championship game, and this year, you know who led the Chiefs in that second half to the AFC Championship game? Chad Henne. And if you guys are real Dolphins fans and old enough to remember, Chad Henne was the Dolphins quarterback and second round draft pick from Michigan 10 years ago. This man has not played competitive football basically other than practice in the last 7 to 8 years, and he's still on an NFL roster. And that's why coaches and players around the league are banging their fucking heads because Colin Kaepernick and guys that could actually play don't have jobs. So of course that's why players get mad, but you saw that Chad Henne still had some game left in him. And I know that he hasn't played in a while, but honestly, Andy Reid's play calling is what makes him go out there and trust Chad Henne for the game because Andy Reid is such a genius with his play calling. But other than that, it's funny to say that two former Dolphins quarterbacks are in the playoffs and thriving currently. But let me get into this video. And the first thing I really did want to mention was the rumors revolving around the Miami Dolphins and Deshaun Watson. And it's probably clear that you guys have seen that Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston. He wasn't involved with their GM search. They are now trying to involve him in their head coaching job search, but it might be too late. Deshaun hasn't publicly said that he wanted to trade, but it seems to me that a lot of players, especially like Houston legends Andre Johnson, who used to play for the team, one of the best franchise players ever, said to Deshaun, stand your ground. This franchise is garbage. They led us nowhere, and I would probably want to trade if I were you too. And it's funny to say so because Deshaun Watson is not surrounded by great talent. And why not? Because the Houston Texans traded all their assets and any valuable draft picks they had to the Miami Dolphins. So it's funny to think that if the Dolphins have a chance of trading for Deshaun Watson, it would be for Houston's picks that ended up trading for Laremy Tunsil. So Houston is basically looking at trading a first round pick in Deshaun Watson for Laremy Tunsil. That would basically be the trade. We'd also obviously include Tua Tagovailoa, which would be that 5th overall pick, but Tua is still developing. He's only played 10 games. To anyone out there that is saying that he's a bust, that he doesn't look like the value of what a 5th overall pick quarterback should give you, you guys need to ease up. Look at the stat sheet. I want to just look at all the other quarterbacks on this stat sheet throughout their first 10 starts and tell me Tua Tagovailoa isn't in the mix of greatness with all of these players. He has played to expectations and he had a bad last week of the season. Therefore, you guys are all planning on giving up on him. I'm going to start off by saying what we need to do in free agency because obviously depending on who we get in free agency, that will determine the overall outcome of what happens in the draft. So in free agency, there's a lot of big names at wide receiver, let's say, which is a big target of need for this Dolphins team. And who can we get? Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent. Allen Robinson is a free agent. Kenny Golladay is a free agent. Chris Godwin is a free agent. That is 4 big-time wide receivers. There are still other names out there that wouldn't command over $8 to $10 million a year that I could also mention, but I'm not going to do so because I don't know what the Dolphins' plan is. What else do we need? We need interior offensive line play. Of course, Solomon Kinley played well for us and Eric Flowers played well, but if we could upgrade those positions, that would be great for this team. We also need a center. Corey Linsley from the Green Bay Packers is a free agent. Brandon Sheriff, the franchise guard for the Washington Redskins, a free agent. Joe Thuney, the guard for the New England Patriots, who was franchise tagged last year, had a really good year. He's a free agent. There is free agent players all across this board in terms of where the Dolphins' needs are on this team. What other type of players? And I'm going to look through a list real quick. Leonard Williams, defensive end, if the Dolphins want to go that route, will be one of the top defensive ends on the market, and he fits our 3-4 scheme perfectly. Who else do we want? We also have Shaquille Barrett from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is a stud pass rushing specialist, and that is what we need, and that is probably what this team is lacking. We could also go for players like Yannick Ngakoue, who didn't end up having a spectacular year, so he wouldn't command as much money as expected, or safeties like Justin Simmons if we think Bobby McCain isn't as well as free safety as we expected him to be. So we could cut him and I guess sign a good caliber to franchise safety on this team and shore up the secondary to obviously have the best in the league. So I don't know which route the Dolphins are going to do so, but depending on that will give me some insight as to where I think the Dolphins will go in the draft, because I do think that the NFL draft is really deep on defense and at wide receiver. So we'll see what actually happens. Of course, a lot of quarterbacks are going to get taken. What are we going to do with that third pick? Should we trade it to Houston and get Deshaun Watson and kind of give us a sure top 5 quarterback in the league? Or should we use that pick on a franchise left tackle or right tackle in Sewell? Or should we get probably the best receiver that I've personally seen coming out of college in Devontae Smith? And I know he's a toothpick, but he's still one of the fastest and most complete wide receivers in the league. All he needs to do is put on a little bit of weight, and I would say that he would be a top number 1 without question, as long as he stays healthy, and health is something that you can't control. So the Dolphins have a lot of things to look forward to in this draft. I wonder what we actually do in free agency first. So in the most recent videos that I will be posting, they will have to do with free agency, because obviously those are the key aspects and the Deshaun Watson trade into what we're going to do heading into the draft. So guys, if you like this video, please again make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. More Dolphin stuff to come. Big offseason for this team. This could be the jump for us to be real contenders and Super Bowl contenders. We'll see what happens if we stick with Tua Tagovailoa, if we go to Deshaun Watson, if we draft wide receiver at 3. What are we doing for agency? We have over $40 million in cap projected. Big offseason. Stick with me here. Thanks for watching, guys.